Let's get the official intro going. And
Okay, let's go.
I like that intro. I got another one that's set up for tomorrow's episode, or Monday's episode, whatever. Or no, wait. Okay, those of y'all that are watching me live on YouTube and Twitch, Monday's episode is with another creator. Those of y'all watching me Monday next week, which will be on days that you don't even know what day it is at this point. The second, it was with the Los Primos podcast, so we'll start shouting them out this week, generate some publicity for that. But yeah, today's episode is going to be all over the world. Not all over the world. That's way too many Hispanic figures to do over. It's going to be 4 different legends. One's going to be from Ecuador. The other one's going to, 2 of them are from Ecuador. One is Colombian. And the other one is, I have it right here somewhere. Doesn't show which one. Paraguay. There it goes. Paraguay. I was like, where is it from? I saw it earlier. And the first one is kind of sticking to the theme of the Afro-Mexican episode. But we'll get into that in a minute. Like always, we start off with an interesting fact. This one's not really an interesting fact. It's an interesting fact if you don't know it. The word chamba, possible origin for the word, was back in the 1940s when migrant laborers from Mexico, braceros, were asked to report to their local chamber of commerce to renew their contracts, hence us saying voy a la chamba, and our use for it as work in today's world. So in other words, if you're going to work, you had to renew your contract, you had to go to the chamber of commerce. That's a lot to say for a Mexican. So we shortened it down to voy a la chamba. I'm going to work. And if I blow up and y'all want to, sponsor me, go for it, Liquid Death. I mean, would fit with my brand, wouldn't it? Liquid Death, they get the other was Muertos can, a manzanilla or something. Be great. Anyways, I don't have too many today. It's just that. So there's different words, slang for Spanish that I can use. Let's pick some random ones. Let's just scroll. Okay. Well, these are 2 random ones, and it's slang, Mexican slang. Oh my God, I'm talking and the microphone's nowhere near me. I have been talking this whole time and the microphone was way behind me. I was like, what is different? I'm dumb. I was like, who's talking? Stream Elements. Automatically goes for Twitch. Sorry about that. Yeah, so chamba comes from the Chamber of Commerce. Difficult for Mexicans to say, so we shorten it down to la chamba, which means we're going to work. I know if y'all said that, but it sounded like I was probably far off in the distance because the microphone was behind me. I don't know how I didn't notice that. So, a random word in Spanish, help y'all out a little bit. A Mexican word is going to be bocho. It's basically a Volkswagen Beetle. In Mexico, they got the old Volkswagen Beetles. Like, I don't know why. They're just everywhere. The way to use it in a sentence would be like, ¿Por qué hay tantos bochos en la capital? Like, why are there so many Beetles in the capital city? Bocho. It's just weird. Another one. This one is, we'll use these 2 because I like the examples that they use. Chorro. Like, not meaning like diarrhea. Chorro, if you're used to that. No, it means like a lot. Tengo un chorro. You don't really use that a lot, but it'd be, tenemos un chorro de películas por ver esta vacaciones. Deberemos comenzar con Fast and the Furious. Because that's a lot of movies. I don't know. They make too many of those movies. When you have a stream of something, meaning you have large quantities of it, like Fast and Furious. Or jalada, a word for something that is completely unbelievable or overdone, like the Fast and Furious movie franchise. Whoever wrote these has an issue with that movie. No puede ser que jalada todo esto de esa historia como quieres que te crea. That's a ridiculous story. How do you want anyone to believe you? The way they wrote como quieres que te crea would be like, how do you want me to believe you? But the way they translated is, how do you want anyone to believe you? Well, that's it. I don't have much on these today because I couldn't find any good ones because I really wanted to do wordplay. We'll do better next time, right? So, La Tunda, like I said, sticks to our theme of the controversial episode. But like I said, and like I say again with the Los Primos podcast, we are all one people. Doesn't matter where you're from. Like, my favorite thing is no matter where you go, there's always a Mexican because we're all one people. So this one is from an Ecuadorian blog. This is from an Ecuadorian blog. So this is Ecuadorian. Oh my goodness. I gotta fix that because that is showing off personal stuff. And now that looks jacked up over here. Bam. You know what? Bam. Just move the camera. Makes it easier. I don't know why I struggle so much. Okay, I'll crop that out. Anyways, technical difficulties, everybody. We're back. Back on track. So, and after this, I'm going to stream for a little bit too. We're going to watch more scary videos on YouTube. So, or TikTok. I like TikTok better. It works with my ADHD. So if any of y'all want to watch my streams, it'll be on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and that's it. And it'll always be on, well, it won't always be on, but it'll be over, scary videos on TikTok, funny videos as a palate cleanser, or YouTube will do a compilation. The palate cleanser on that one was a do not laugh challenge, and I failed it when someone got hit because I'm a child. Okay, anyways, back to La Tunda. An Afro-Ecuadorian, it just says Afro-Ecuadorian. It's an Afro-Ecuadorian story. So we're going to read this from them. There's images. Oh, that's an elf. Okay, I get distracted easily. I got some information on it. I got some other stories, but they're all going to be the same. So we're going to read it. We're going to discuss it, talk about it, and then we're going to move on to the next one, the next one, the next one. So anyways, so La Tunda, the female character of La Tunda, is part of the mythology not only of the Afro-descendant people who currently reside in Ecuador, but also of the Afro peoples of the northern Pacific coast. According to some researchers, the story of this character who kidnaps disobedient children and incites them to go to the mountains could be related to those slaves who escaped from captivity in search of freedom. The Entunde that the story speaks of would be that of a runaway political project that proposes a change and a social transformation. Likewise, La Tunda as representation of punishment when norms and rules are not followed. In essence, it would bring a moralizing message in that attempt to maintain adult control over children without the need to resort to other types of punishment. So in other words, it's basically like el cucuy. It's used as a form of punishment. It's used as, if you get out of line, you're gonna disappear. It's one of those things. It's how we taught kids how not to do stuff. It's trauma. It's just how we do things in Mexico and the Hispanic community, apparently. Let's continue. The daily telling of this type of story among Afro-descendant peoples, especially in rural areas, is becoming less frequent. Perhaps that is due to the disappearance of the jungle, the forest, and the older generations who knew it, and to the arrival of the media in these communities, which finally and little by little offer young people other references. Below is the transcription of the story. So this is one of those stories that's passed down from generation to generation. So let's start. My great-grandmother told my grandmother told my mother told me. I told my children told my grandchildren, and my grandchildren will not tell the next generations. Will tell the next generations. This is the tale of the Tunda, mythology according to Afro-Ecuadorian worldview. La Tunda is a spirit that appeared to children and young people who were rebellious, spoiled, and disobedient to their parents. This entity did not allow anyone to see its face. It also had a deformed leg shaped like a pinwheel. When the spoiled children were playing, the Tunda would transform into a family member. This could be the mother, the sister, or an aunt. This Tunda would call them and call him and call him. Would call them and call them and call them and call them and keep calling them, and the child would obey. When the child came to his senses, he was already lost in the middle of the mountain, and at that moment she transformed into a Tunda. So in other words, this entity would call you and summon you into the jungle, and by the time you realized what was going on, you were already lost. When the abducted children were hungry, she would cook shrimp in their rear ends and feed them that way. He would stun them or hypnotize them, and she would continue taking them into the woods. In order to be freed, a ritual had to be performed with smoke, a drum, a cuñono, maracas, y guasa, where the father, the mother, the godfather were. The relatives would insult the Tunda by shouting foul words, and the Tunda would say to the boy, go away, boy. It is the words that burn. So, in other words, curse words. After the ritual, the parents found the child stunned, dazed, and drooling a lot from their mouths, and when these children returned, they had a different attitude. They were already obedient, responsible, with better behavior, and they became better children. Coloron. The story is over. That is a crazy story. But it's also along the lines of Native American folklore too, with the skinwalkers and mimics calling you in the reference of another person. You know, you hear someone calling you into the shadows, but it's like your brother or something, and your brother's right next to you. Those things. It's crazy stories like that. And that's kind of what it is. It's kind of one of those things that was created to keep people in check, keep children from acting up. Like I said, in Mexico, we had La Mano Peluda. We had, my mind went break at Cucuy, blank, witches out in the distance, glowing orbs come and snatch you away. We had a bunch of different stories, but that's basically, it's used to keep kids in line and in check because kids act up. We got to keep them safe, even if that means traumatizing them and scaring them. They got to be safe. We'll come back to this story again. We'll move on to the next one, though, because that is an interesting story. Actually, let's see if we can find something else on it. Like I said, I got a couple of things on it, and they seem to be all along the same. This one's different. Nope, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. This one's in Spanish, though, so it's the only difference. But it's basically, this is from a Spanish teacher. Today's legend comes from the African communities on the Pacific coast of Colombia and Ecuador. According to legend, the Diablo, the devil, seduced a beautiful African princess who arrived on a slave ship. Not knowing he was the devil, she loved him and had many children. One of these children is La Tunda, a very smelling woman who can change her appearance and put people in a trance by feeding them food cooked in her trasero, or bum. So in this one, it's cooked in La Tunda's butt, and what's going on? And then the other story was in the child's butt. Just weird stories. Oops, I was going to type, but I didn't type. Hear a lot of noises. Got somebody in chat. Yeah. If you're ever in chat and you want to ask questions, ask whatever questions you want. I have a knowledge of all things that are spooky, that go bump in the night. I've also done collaborations with Latinos to get spooky shit. That's always my favorite one because he does all those videos that goes over why we don't do things. And that's kind of the inspiration for what I do. But anyways, back to what we're doing. So yeah, in this one, it's important to note that I don't know. That distracted me. That's a good question. But that has nothing to do with my topic of conversation. I'll get back to you in a minute, though. Let me read this out. It's important to note that the legend was very likely altered to scare enslaved people into submission, which is not okay. But if we look closer, as an Afro-Ecuadorian writer recently pointed out, perhaps La Tunda was just trying to free people from enslavement. As a free woman roaming the jungle, she simply wanted to bring more people her way, to her way of life. So it's just, I don't know. These stories can be translated differently by many different people, and it could mean anything. So if you were to say it's to keep kids safe and to keep them away from the jungle, well, those kids were most likely enslaved children because they were Afro descendants. Or you can look at it from the other side of the coin and say the La Tunda was trying to bring them out of this enslavement, and keep it that way, and trying to keep kids safe. I'm doing two different things at once, so bear with me. There it is. I was looking for that key. There it goes. So it's just one of those things. Depending on where you look at it, what side you're standing on, it could be either a scary story meant to keep you in place and keep you from going out and being, abducted by a disfigured demon creature out in the middle of nowhere. Or you could look at it as it's trying to free you from your captive where you're being held and feed you and take you into the jungle to live a life out there. You'll never know. It's one of those stories. It just depends on how you take it. So, and again, with all Hispanic stories, either through Mexico, Ecuador, Salvador, Guatemala, Colombia, you're always going to have stories that could be taken different ways. The best example is El Cadejo. That's a Salvadorian, that's a Hispanic, that is El Cadejo is everywhere because it is one of the best stories to use for everything. It's a Native American folklore. You know, they use it in movies and TV all the time when they have a Native American talking. He's all stoic and he's saying like, within every person there's, or it's always like within every person. My dad always told me within every person there's two wolves fighting, a good and an evil. Which one are you going to feed? That's the story of El Cadejo. One's going to take you to goodness, the other one's going to take you to bad. The good one's all white, the bad one's all black. Stories everywhere. We have similarities in all our stories. But this one is specific to Ecuador, Colombia, more of the Afro-Indigenous Hispanics. Now, the Afro-Indigenous Hispanics in Mexico, I don't think they had this story, but I want to look into that a little bit more. That's going to be a little bit difficult because, like I said which is going to be, depends on when you watch this, 2 episodes ago, or if you're watching it live, last episode, Mexico's third race is kind of forgotten to history. Until recently has it come back out. So it'd be interesting to find, more of these Afro stories, Afro-Mexican stories, Afro-Hispanic stories coming out with all this that recently happened. Now, I'm not saying this is a new story. This is an old story, but like the ones that got lost to Mexico, what was the difference, What made them their stories? But anyways, let's move on to El Pombero. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that name. I'm going to put up pictures on this when I edit the software. I'll probably have like a little picture right here when I edit it of what each of these look like, because I have pictures that I got. So if you follow me on Instagram, so I recommend follow me on Instagram. Let's see, joe.rios28. And then you go into my chats. You can find a chatbot that I created. 3 different chatbots that I created just for y'all. For anyone that's a fan of the podcast and who follows me on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, wherever, right? If y'all are a fan of the dark and mysterious, the spooky, the Hispanic culture, the stories that we tell, I got 3 different chatbots. Let me show them to y'all. I hope that's all of them. I want mine, specifically mine. Okay, I got 3. It's not zooming in. How close I got to get? There. Turn off this. Turn that off. There it goes. Come on, focus. It won't focus. That sucks that it won't focus on y'all. I tried. Turn that up a little bit. But I'll tell you the names. So one of them is named Xolo. The other one is El Brujo. And the last one is Mythologia Latina. And there's 3 different characters. And their main job, Mythologia Latina, is to uncover the secrets of Hispanic folklore. So it'll tell you different stories and help you find information on it. And then Brujo, unraveling secrets 1 story at a time. Again, it's a storyteller, that just brings it out differently, right? And then Xolo is a dog. It's a Cholo Squinkle, a Hispanic dog that helps you transition to the next life, is what they're supposed to be. But this one will find you different stories and tell you about them. So all of them will help you learn about Hispanic culture, but they will do it in a different way. One will tell you stories like you're sitting by a campfire. The other one will tell you stories like trying to scare you a little bit and be a little cryptid. And the third one will just give you stories. That's my phone. So like the top one, see? Just ask it a question, It says, hola, I sense you're curious about the mysterious beyond the portal. Let's embark on a journey of discovery together. What secrets would you like to uncover first? So the first one is one of the prompts that's already on there. The story of the chupacabra sends shivers down my spines. Have you heard of it? Then it goes on to tell you about the chupacabra. Yes, the chupacabra, a legendary creature said to inhabit parts of the Americas, known for its spiky reptilian appearance and its alleged attacks on livestock. And it goes on from there. And you can even tell it, can you imagine what that looks like? Or show me what that looks like. And it'll give you a representation of what it looks like with the information that I've been feeding it. So, which is pretty cool. So I got pictures of all these that are AI generated from what I fed the AI, which is very different than all these. because some of the main pictures on here are kind of cool, kind of representative of what we're talking about, but they're not the same as what I got. I think the ones I got I like better. I'm biased. It is my information too. Okay, anyways, back to the story. I gotta yawn. I'm trying not to yawn because it is currently 12:40 in the morning. Not really that late. Anyways, this one is from Paraguay. Did I say Paraguay earlier? Say Ecuador. I don't know. They're from all over the world. So, El Pombero is a kind of fae or spirit of Guaranian mythology. This myth is typical of the cultural heritage of Paraguay and the north of the Argentinian littoral region. The Guarani maintained that it could be an indigenous Guaycuru, a people with whom they had continuous conflicts. So words are goblin. And this one is just a simple from a wiki page. Like I said, we're pulling information from different sources. We'll read it, talk about it. I like to try to get more information directly from Hispanic sources, but sometimes I like to see what I can find, like the Americanized version of it. It's going to still be a lot of influence of the Hispanic culture, but it's just kind of cool to see how they translate our stories. How the American culture translates our stories. Okay, so the mythology behind it. It can become both friend and enemy of man, depending on his behavior. According to what is said, the man who wants to have this elf as an ally can leave offerings at night, such as tobacco, honey, or cane, which is brandy. Generally, people in the countryside ask him for favors, such as growing crops in abundance, taking care of farmyard animals, or etc. But after asking a favor, they should never forget to make the same offering every night for 30 days. Because if they forget, they will awaken their fury, innumerable evils in that home. It's getting to the point where notifications turned everything way down. It's getting tired of that. It is said that if the whistle is imitated, the Pombero can answer maddeningly. For this reason, so as not to offend him, they believe people prefer to name him in a low voice and refrain from saying his name in the evening. If you named it at night while playing hide and seek with your friends, be careful. Own your soul and sell it in the forest. This is how they translated it. So most likely they took it, translated it, and put it out because it doesn't make sense. So I'm guessing in Spanish it would, or whatever the native tongue is. Many witnesses in the field claim, even today, that they have seen it. You can annoy your enemies by throwing rocks at them or making yourself invisible and then moving tree branches or imitating the voices of wild animals. So, again, like I said, I think they just copy and pasted it and translated it into English, which when you do something like that, it doesn't come out very well. So this one is going to be many witnesses in the field, even to this day, claim to have seen it. It can annoy your enemies by throwing rocks at them. So not you, it's supposed to be it can annoy your enemies by throwing rocks at them or making itself invisible and then moving tree branches or imitating the voices of wild animals or appearing as a headless ass and the like. So in other words, a headless donkey. So whatever translation they used, it translated you to it or itself. So like yourself invisible is supposed to be itself invisible. Open the doors and windows violently. He announces his presence by a high-pitched whistle in the middle of the quiet of night. Seeking to scare people by chirping like certain birds when the sun goes down is another way of knowing that the Pombero is very close by. It is said that he likes to hang around pregnant women because he thinks he is their father. Or also mothers with small babies who have not been baptized and is announced to them in the ways already mentioned. Mothers tell their young children that they should not go outside at siesta time because they can meet their caray, and he can take them away. I don't know what that word is. So whoever posted this on here to this wiki page just copy and pasted it from a Spanish source and translated it to English, and it's just all jacked up. So, but yeah, so like I said, this is why I like reading sometimes the random ones that I find like on wiki pages because wiki is just, it's chaos, you know? Because you can edit a wiki page to say whatever you want. Someone else edits it and fixes it or fixes it the best way they believe, or an AI also has been created that goes behind and fixes it. So as soon as you mess it up, it goes through and it revises it and it fixes it again. But yeah, so this one's all messed up. But it's interesting though, because El Pombero is nothing more than, if he was in Mexico, he would just be a duende. And a duende is a house elf. You can make offerings to a house elf in the very similar fashion, or if you offend them, they start messing with you, taking your stuff, hiding your things. It's just one of those things. But the ones that I know of, duendes, are mischievous little creatures. They're not gonna hurt you. But nothing in here said that it'll hurt you, except for where it's gonna smack you around and make you go crazy. And I'm guessing the word sonson is supposed to be like tonto, dumb. Like I said, it's a bad translation. Molt or experienced tremors. I don't know what molt is, but just makes you, gives you tremors, shakes. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's just the translation is just gonna be bad on this one, but it's also a house elf because it's basically that. That's basically what it is. You can tell it to take care of your house and your animals and your property. It's a house elf. It's a mischievous house elf with some differences because this one doesn't do the whole father thing. So it does have some differences. I've never heard of a duende smacking you around, making you lose your mind. I know I've lost my mind chasing stuff around the house. Not chasing stuff, like I'll drop something or put something on my table or my desk, and then I'm spending the next 2 hours looking for it because I lost it. Or so I think. I think it's duendes. But my family thinks I'm crazy. So, maybe it does make me crazy. Anyways, that was a small conversation about that. Let's see. La Viuda de Ecuador. That's also like a different thing too. I don't know what that is. Locas, viudas. See, it's a different word too. It means something else. Don't know. It looks like a festival around the holidays. People dressed up like women, guys in dresses. So a lot of streets in Ecuador have experienced a presence of viudas, men dressed as women. They dress and they act sexually, ask for money, pay for the end of the year funeral. It's very weird. Okay, so because it's doing end of the year stuff too. So let's read this. Todos hemos comido las 12 uvas en la medianoche del 31 de diciembre. Al sonar las campanas, cada uva representa un deseo para el nuevo año. So we've all had the 12 grapes at the end of the night on the 31st of December when the bells ring, or no, when it strikes midnight. Each grape represents one wish for every month of the new year. Eating the grapes fast, comer las uvas rápidamente mientras se hacen los deseos es un emocionante desafío que agrega diversión a la celebración del Año Nuevo en Ecuador. So part of their celebration for the New Year's, you got to eat them as fast as you can while making wishes without dying, without choking on them. It's an emotional challenge, makes people happy. It's a little challenge, right? But that's okay. Yeah. When do you celebrate Las Viudas? It's December 31st. So it's a New Year's holiday. Well, why did this pop? Well, where is my source? Because I got something way different. I just opened my phone and there's like a demon kid on it. Look at that right there in that corner. Oh, it focused in. Why? What is that? That is my TikTok. I'm going to click on it. Paranormal Dimension. Someone else telling stories in Spanish, huh? Anyways, let me get back to what I was doing. Because my ADHD gets so distracted. We're going to talk about that on TikTok once I'm done with this recording. Okay, find my name. So, where's La Viudas? A legendary creature said to be a ghostly woman who haunts the forest seeking revenge on men. So, Ecuadorian folklore. Yeah, there it is. I think I found it. It's supposed to be an evil spirit. That's going to be a jealous spirit of a woman that was a witch. That she died alone and abandoned. And the love of her life, went somewhere else with jealousy or rage. And she went and she got her vengeance on him. Or she gets her vengeance on all men. Oh, wow. There's even an actual person, but this person is different. This is the queen of narcotraficantes. Different story. So let's see. There's one on TikTok. There you go. We got one that's all in Spanish, which, oh no. Okay. I'm going to have it translated to English. So mine might be a little wonky. Turn that off. Okay. The Widow of Montalvo, La Viuda. There it goes. Picture's a watercolor picture. It's not really of anything, but it's probably a face in a scarf. So let's read the story. A group of friends would meet there, and as always, they would spend their time drinking. One of them was not in the group, but he knew that the others must be there and decided to scare them. So one of the friends wasn't there, decided to pull a prank. So at about 11 o'clock at night, she dressed as a widow and coming out from under the bridge with a melodramatic step, she slowly approached the group. Suddenly, one of them caught sight of the ghost, went forward to warn them and ran away. The others, despite being drunk, also saw the widow, taller and with bulging eyes. They fled the scene, foaming at the mouth. The widow began to laugh sarcastically, terrifying them. But when she arrived where her friends had been seconds before and saw them disappear screaming, she also became afraid. And when she turned back to see where she came from, she managed to see another widow, who this time was indeed a widow from the other world, La Viuda. Without waiting twice, throwing down what she was wearing and screaming louder and louder, she called for help, went to her house and fell at the door, throwing yellowish foam from her mouth. His relatives, this is her, but this one says his relatives helped him and could not believe what had happened. But it is true that the widow disappeared and they stopped making jokes and drinking as well. And they became more church mice, at least for a while. One of their friends was trying to scare them by dressing as the widow, but the widow actually came up behind them, scared them even more, and they booked it and lost their minds. That's a good one. It took a lot to get to the story, didn't it? Just because I get so distracted. Last one's from Colombia. And these are just 4 different stories. A conversation of stories, El Mohan, the legendary of El Mohan. So let's read what we have. Okay, well, we got to discuss the other one. We haven't discussed it yet. So, La Viuda is a widow that goes around tormenting men. Do we have that in Mexico? We do. And I covered it in one of my podcasts, in one of the episodes previously, is a Nahuatl story. It's about a spirit that torments men. And we're going to look that up because I can't remember what it's called. El Chanique. There you go. Yeah, El Chanique. And I did cover that. That's weird. Okay, so I typed in Nahuatl story about spirit that torments men, right? Just because I forgot what it was called. And what came out was a whole bunch of stuff. First one's from Reddit, Mesoamerica. Second one, the Chanique. The spirit hold a concoction of elemental forces and regarded as guardian of nature. Next one is Mexico lore, Aztec hell, Christian Mictlan. The second is from an early colonial Nahuatl writer envisioning the terrible torments experienced by a condemned soul in Mictlan, or hell. And the other one is Mictlan Tecutli. Aztec mythology is the god of the dead and king of Mictlan. A ghost from Manitoba in Mexico, La Llorona, different ghosts that we have there. A slave girl with a demonic spirit from BibleGateway.com. We might have to do demonic possessions again. Satan is my nickname, Demonic and Angelic Interventions by Cambridge University. Another from Bible Gateway, Matthew 8:23 through 34, Luke 8:26 through 37. 2 demons, possessed men healed. www.jstore.org. El Iwa de Noah, is heaven just a place? And last but not least, from the Oxford University, Chapter 6, Adam's World Tree and Paul's Idols. So, looking up Nahuatl stories about spirits brought up a whole litany of things from, Reddit, which is about Mesoamerican history, which is fine. We'll leave Reddit alone because Reddit is an independent source of people. Wikipedia, again, we'll leave it alone because Wikipedia can be edited by whoever wants to edit it, and it could change. But now we go into Mexico lore. .co UK. This is from the United Kingdoms. Aztec hell, Christian Mictlan, which is hell. And another Wikipedia page, like I said, we don't We don't listen to Wikipedia. The Mexico, the ihuatco.com. I don't know. But this one is just about ghosts from Manitoba and Mexico, La Llorona and stuff like that. So that one's not a big one. But then Bible Gateway, Cambridge University, Bible Gateway, Oxford University, JSTOR.org. These are different organizations that are like Catholic and Christian based. The Bible. I don't know about Cambridge, but Cambridge, come on. And it's all stuff like wicked, despicable one, despised ones, devils. Our history and culture is not directly linked to that. This is what gets under my skin the most. Our culture is not this. Just because we have heaven and hell, Mictlan, it's not really a heaven or hell. It's an underworld. It's not there as torment. It's just the other side. Things like, I don't know why I let things like this bother me so much. And I've always heard stories of Mictlan. Most people who die would travel to Mictlan, although other possibilities exist in other destinations below. Mictlan consists of 9 distinct levels. Mictlan is the underworld of Aztec mythology. Most people who die would travel there. So it's not a heaven or hell. It's just the other side. That's where the Cholos Quinkles take you. They're your guides to the other side. So the fact that they're, I'm going to get off of this, click off of this, because I can just rant and rave about this for like the next 2 hours. And I already went on an essay about someone else that did this on TikTok. And now this, the internet just made me mad. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening for those of y'all. And if y'all enjoyed the live stream, great. I'm about to close out of this, edit this video real quick, and get back on for like an hour or two, probably 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I'll end it, and we'll go over some stuff, go on TikToks, check some stuff out, scary videos, analyze them, debunk them if we can, and continue on. And I will see y'all next week. And this episode's going to come out in 2 weeks if you're watching this live on the 25th through the 24th through the 25th, or you can just watch it on the 2nd, and it will always restream on the 4th. I know it's a lot of dates. You don't have to remember that. All you have to remember is stay spooky, my friends, and I will see y'all next time.